Welcome back to Bizarre Bazaar, and in this episode we're looking at letters sent from James Whitey Bulger to someone who for anonymity we're going to call Frank. James Whitey Bulger, going by the name of Whitey, was a leading American organised crime boss and FBI super informant who led the Winter Hill Gang in the Winter Hill neighbourhood of Somerville, Massachusetts. He was one of the most notorious criminals in American history. The film Black Mass, starring Johnny Depp, was based on his life, and also Jack Nicholson's character, Frank Costello, in The Departed was loosely based on him. So this is a man whose notoriety captured the attention of Hollywood. But why was this? I think, in short, it's because he played both the criminals and the FBI. He was a supergrass and a leading underworld boss. How did this guy sleep at night? I get anxiety just thinking about it. Whitey had cut a deal with the FBI in 1975, which enabled him to commit crime freely, so long as he informed the FBI about the underworld and did not murder. But that is something that he struggled not to do. During his racketeering and mass murder trial in 2011, jurors heard the details of his horrific crimes. This included brazen daylight shootings, young women throttled to death, machine guns aimed at victims' crotches, and teeth ripped from the mouths of the dead to make them harder to identify. Just before we get to the letter, if you want to write to inmates like I do, then use the service I use. It's called J-Mail. It's fast and it's secure, and it means you don't have to use your home address. That's the main reason why I like it. I get physical letters sent to my house, but I don't give the inmates my address. I'll leave a link to their services in the description below. Just go check out the website. Hello, Frank. Sorry for the long interval between letters. Sometimes I get depressed and angry over the treatment of my Catherine. Catherine is his wife, who was arrested with him when they were eventually captured. He speaks more about her later, but you can tell from this little bit that she's got it pretty rough right now. As you can tell, I'm an insomniac. I sleep with the lights on and terrible nightmares. Wake up every hour or so. Only cure for it is the checkout counter. I'm 87 now, and heart was damaged in that Plymouth County jail with their special treatment. Jail is not part of the federal prison system. I was lodged there and the government paid for my keep. Ruined my life with 600 strip searches in 4 months. 5 times a day and night. 150 per month. By 4 months, 600 times. Heart murmur, heart damage, AFIB, need valve surgery. No gracias. That is special treatment. I can understand that they want to give him a hard time, but was this the only reason for doing so? Were the guards really just working on an eye for an eye, or was there more to it? Never heard of any prisoners subjected to their special treatments. Muslim prisoner strip searched me once in a day, almost caused a riot. 3.5 years in that cell, with a camera in the ceiling and a guard watching me through the panel in door and open slot in door. 3.5 years, ate every meal in that cell, 1 hour a day in a cage. They had canine dog and handler watching me. If not handy, I don't get out. I think prosecutor arranged this to make me insane. Maybe they succeeded and I'm last to the yard out. Joking. It does sound like hell on earth. I'm not quite sure what he means about Muslim prisoners strip searching him. Is this as well as the prison guards? I wonder what happens to a person when the closest they get to nature is an hour outside in a cage each day. Truly terrifying. They put out 4 different wanted posters during the 16 years on the run and will send you a copy of each. You have the $1 million award, this one makes 2. This is the wanted poster that Whitey sent with this letter. Gives a little description about him, his physical presence. It even shows him and Catherine walking the dogs. It's also interesting how he mentions that he sent him 2 out of 4. Like there's some sort of collection. Here is an FBI agent talking about Whitey when he was on the run.
How hard would it be to find him, or how hard do you think it is to find him?
Well, apparently it's pretty hard to find him. He's not your average criminal. He's very bright. He's very disciplined. And I would think that he has the discipline to lay low.
Bulger became a fugitive in 1994 and was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list in 1999 and was considered the most wanted person on the list behind Osama bin Laden. That is some ranking. He was finally apprehended after a tip-off from one of their neighbours, Anna Bjornsdottir, a former US television actress and Miss Iceland of 1974. She earned a $2 million reward for turning in Whitey. She had been watching a news report about Whitey's manhunt when she recognised the man she knew by the name of Charlie Gasco and notified the FBI. Whitey was arrested along with his girlfriend Catherine Grieg outside an apartment complex in Santa Monica, California on July 22, 2011. At first he denied his identity, but eventually he told authorities, "You know who I am. I'm Whitey Bulger." More than $800,000 in cash and a cache of weapons was found hidden in the walls of his apartment. By then, he was 81 years old. Bulger and Grieg were promptly extradited to Boston and taken under heavy guard to the United States courthouse. In June 2012, Grieg pleaded guilty to conspiracy to harbour a fugitive and conspiracy to commit identity fraud, receiving a sentence of 8 years in prison. Bulger declined to seek bail and remained in custody. They were on the run for the best part of 17 years. That's pretty impressive, really, and it's also really brave of the neighbour to turn them in. I'm sure other people probably spotted him, but thought it wasn't worth $2 million. He also attached a news clipping showing the Johnny Depp film Black Mass. In this article, Depp talks about how it was difficult to get into the character of someone like Whitey, and also how Whitey refused to get involved in any way. At the bottom of the article, he continues to talk about Catherine, Frank, 2 FBI agents on payroll, also others in high places. Money talks, and is more addictive than heroin. I and Catherine only people in prison. She is 65, and if prosecutor can, he will have her dying here with me. This prosecutor, faced by 4 co-defendants, gave deal that freed the 4 who killed more than 50 people, all free and rich. Prosecutor Weishak has got Catherine a record sentence, highest in America for her. When captured, offered to plead guilty and accept execution. Offer rejected. Asked for leniency for Catherine. Would have saved millions at the trial. I'm wary of it all. Wish I could have run this war ahead. Would have gone out like Bonnie and Clyde. Interesting how he wishes he could have gone out in a blaze of fire instead. It shows that the relentless special treatment was working wonders on Whitey. But what did he think was ever going to happen inside though? He said this about the film Black Mass. Black Mass, Hollywood. Didn't see it and may never. All lies. Feel Johnny Depp realised it. The true story may have made a better movie. Who knows? Maybe I will be told someday. Enclosed from the USA Today newspaper, their letter from the juror, 12. She is writing a book. Asked her to go slow and publish after I'm out of here. At 86, 2 heart attacks, time is on my side. This is the letter from the juror that Bulger enclosed. As a juror in the Bulger trial, I have some thoughts about the recent announcement of the trial, costing $2.6 million and counting. Taxpayers are furious and should be. But are they furious for the right reason? When Bulger was arrested in California, he surrendered without a fight and offered to plead guilty to all charges against him, accepting whatever punishment was deemed by the court, including a speedy execution. In return, he only asked for leniency for Catherine Grieg. This offer was presented to the US attorneys shortly after Bulger's arrest. They declined, determined to go forward with their 9-week trial. The defense team was forced to speedily prepare for a trial that the federal prosecutors had been preparing for almost 20 years, with the government's sanction of funding and manpower. Perhaps the US Attorney's Office determined to go to trial to bring closure to the families of the victims. Families that were forced to hear testimony after testimony of their loved one's brutal death and gruesome burial. The cold, factual description of their remains and nightmarish pictures of their body, skeleton and degraded brain matter of one being scooped from their skull by a medical examiner. Was this healing? Would not Bulger's acceptance statement of guilt have been more merciful to the grieving families? Or perhaps the US Attorney's Office, determined to go to trial to prove Bulger was an informant? If so, they failed miserably, as days of such testimony did not prove this, nor was it even a question for the jury to decide. Then again, perhaps the US Attorney's Office, determined to go to trial to prove the wisdom and protection of the Department of Justice, showing their determination to see a job through to the end by offering leniency to lesser criminals for their tainted testimony, which would help to get their prized quarry, Bulger. The US Attorney Office gave FBI Special Agent Morris, and indeed he was special, a free pass for accessory to murder. They gave serial killer Motorano approximately 6 months for each cold-blooded murder he committed. And if Fleming's testimony pleased the US attorneys, it is highly probable that he will soon be back in town, released on what is known as Rule 35 motion. And he seems to have plenty of money to live off, for the US attorneys also saw to it that his approximate $2 million in assets were returned to Fleming for his testimony. Bulger's offer to plead guilty was denied, and the taxpayers' money will cough up $2.6 million. But on the positive side, Catherine Grieg remains in prison, 8 long years for harbouring a fugitive. But wait, that reminds me of another witness in the trial, Motorano's girlfriend. Seems she harboured John for 16 years, was involved in money laundering, and perjured herself in a grand jury hearing. How much time did she spend in jail? None. In fact, no charges were ever made. I sat on the jury of the Bulger trial. I was involved in the deliberations. Now, I have questions. What was this trial really about? And who holds the truth? At the bottom of the letter, he wrote this. Hope you can read my writing and understand all of this. The real victim is Catherine, who will do more time. It's insane how this worked. I can see his point that his accomplices got off lightly, and it doesn't make it right, but at the end of the day, Whitey was the ringleader. The guy at the top either dies or goes down for a very long time, and the rest of them all just try and save their own skin. When you think of the classic gangster boss from the films, Whitey was the real-life guy. And what made his story more interesting was the FBI agent tasked with seeking the information from Whitey and to generally keep tabs on him was John Connolly, who had actually grown up a few doors away from the Bulger family. Although Whitey was 8 years his senior, he did look out for Connolly. One time, Connolly was being ganged up on by some other kids, and Whitey came to the rescue. I'm sure times like this influenced their future together, which is just insane. Connolly was supposed to be in charge of getting the information out of him, and Bulger did provide information that helped the FBI go after his main rival, New England's Italian mafia, as well as local criminals. In return, Connolly let Bulger know about working investigations, while Bulger and close associate Steve the Rifleman Fleming carried on with impunity.
Well, I'm trying to be specific.
Yes, gambling, drugs, bank robberies. That was far too broad. That was not the agreement.
Are you saying that's untrue?
I don't agree with Fleming's assertion that he had the right to do anything but murder. They had the right to conduct a gambling and a loan sharking business and collect rent from bookmakers with no violence.
Connolly was convicted in 2008 of racketeering and taking bribes and second-degree murder for his role in the slaying of an accountant who Bulger and Fleming feared would testify against them. It's such a crazy connection, but then there's even more. While Bulger was robbing banks and killing people, his younger brother Billy was acquiring political notoriety and power. Billy served in the Massachusetts legislature for 35 years, including several years as the president of the Senate. And then he was president of the University of Massachusetts. He was forced to resign the latter job in 2003 after it was learned that 8 years earlier he had spoken on the phone to Whitey, who was a fugitive at the time and did not report it to authorities. Can you see the plot of The Departed starting to unfold? Before we carry on, I want to show you this Christmas card that Whitey sent to Frank. It shows how he revelled at least a little bit in the persona that he created. And it also makes me wonder if deep down he really wanted to get involved with the film Black Mass. Also, this letter was donated by Cult Collectibles, so I want to say thank you and also let you know that they have recently started a YouTube channel with some great new content. It's called Cult Collectibles, so head over and have a look. The link to the channel will also be in the description. The next thing he sent was more of a note with an image of a car. I'm not sure of the importance of the car to Whitey, but hopefully someone watching this can let me know in the comments. While I'm in hospital, Crazy Man knocked on my door. He's 5 years younger than me. Bad health, same for wife. He's told your brother is in the hospital and dead. Wishful thinking? My attorney called here and can't get much info except I'm alive. They wouldn't say I'm in hospital, or which hospital for security reasons. I can understand. Well, Frank, regards to your family. Keep healthy and working out. Your friend, James Whitey Bulger, 1428AZ. The next letter he sent talked more about the FBI. You're correct, Frank. I do get loads of mail from all over. I have mail from England, Ireland, Romania, Sweden, Germany, France and Bermuda that I must answer, plus mail from all over the United States. Black Mass author and John Morris, who was head of the Boston FBI office of Organised Crime Squad, were co-conspirator feds for years. Morris fed the information that enhanced their career. One evening over drinks, he confessed that he was concerned he had accepted money and gifts from me, and feared he would be exposed. They said unite, an irony. Whitey was telling the FBI about the mafia, to wipe them out and take over everything. They did so. The mafia had meeting, and jury members said this is a government trick to divide us. I knew W for years. Not true. Plan fizzled. Co-defendant later said, we were hitmen for the mafia and wiped out a gang of young Italians who were intent on killing the old mafia and taking over. Resulted in finish of 4 young wannabes. We had Morris, head of Organisation Crime Squad, and number 2 John Connolly on payroll for years. At my trial, many relations of people allegedly killed by me. Names allegedly supplied by 2 FBI agents on payroll. Their relatives sued and the government paid each family. I was indicted for 19 murders, extortion, machine guns, etc. Morris and Connolly, when they felt heat and had to cover themselves, created a fraudulent file, saying I was telling them. My attorney had 4 sets of FBI agents testify. The created file was composed of reports taken by J. Connolly, and each was identified by agents as taken from their records and inserted. Morris, under immunity, framed JC for murder. He'd done 18 years in Florida State Pen of a 40-year sentence. My common-law wife and I are the only 2 people in prison. Her 11-year sentence, $150,000 fine, sold home and paid. Me, 2 life sentences. 4 co-defendants for compensation made deals and testified. Catherine will do more time than all of them. JM confessed 20 murders, sentenced to 6 months for each murder. Government gave in all $6,000. Canteen in prison, $20,000 present upon release. 4 killed, more than 50, all rich and free. Crime paid for them. Over. So basically, he's sticking to his guns and insisting that he's not an FBI informant. He just had him on the payroll. It's hard to judge, as he could be telling the truth, but at the same time, being a rat in his world is the worst thing in the world. So maybe, even at this stage, he was trying to save face. That's just my opinion. What do you think? Payroll or rat? Whitey met his grisly end on the first day in a new prison. and it was fitting for a man who did such atrocities. He was jumped on by a group of prisoners, with one wielding a homemade knife. Mr. Bulger's eyes appeared to have been dislodged from his head, although it was unclear whether his attackers gouged them or if they were knocked out because he was beaten so severely in the attack. Apparently, he was unrecognisable. Officials said the beating was carried out, at least in part, with a padlock stuffed in a sock, a common method that inmates use to attack one another. Gouging a victim's eyes and cutting tongues has long been a trademark signature of the vengeful mafia as a symbolic punishment for spying and warning to others. Hitman Fotoir Freddy Gias, who is a lifer in the same prison as murdered Bulger, is suspected of killing Bulger and is known to hate rats. It's 5 AM. No sleep. I was on a medical project in 1957 in the Atlanta pen. Volunteered. Told it was to find a cure for schizophrenia. Reality, it was a top secret CIA project, codenamed NK Ultra. Mind control. Dangerous. Ruined my sleep pattern. Have had nightmares every time I sleep. Are you sure that's not your conscience? Wake up every hour. Sleep with light on. Every week we were put in big room, 8 of us, and doctors and others injected massive dosages of hallucinogenic drugs, such as LSD 25. Followed drug took over, and hours of madness. 2 men went mad, others neurotic behaviour, etc. Went to Alcatraz, got me off project, but still suffer side effects. When captured, put in isolation, cell camera in ceiling. First 4 months, strip searched 5 times a day. For 4 months, kept away. Sleep deprivation, form of torture. Couldn't talk to anyone, no one could talk to me. Strip searched 500 times. By goon squad, no sleep, kept alive. 3.5 years, guard watched me through slot in the door. Fed in cell floor, cold. 3.5 years. Had bad heart attack from sleep deprivation. Nearly died. Had another in here. 5 years of pain. On heart medication. Wheelchair come in handy. Will get me out faster. Good night, Frank. Jim Bulger. 142AAZ. The former Massachusetts State Police head, Tim Foley, said this guy is a sociopathic killer. He loved that type of life. He is one of the hardest and cruelest individuals that operated in the Boston area. He's a bad guy. That's all I've got time for in this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please drop the video a like and subscribe if you're new. Until next time, stay sane.